What it do, y'all, and welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, I wanted to update my current favorite bronzers. You guys know bronzer is one of my favorite categories in makeup, and it has been that way since the very beginning of my journey when it comes to wearing makeup. I really just love how you can really bring warmth and honestly sometimes color back to your face depending on the powder that you use, the foundation shade that you use, anything and everything in between. If you're wondering about this makeup look on my face, this will be up on Friday. This is my first look with the Glamabronze Nearly Natural palette, so just stay tuned. When it becomes available, I will have it linked down below for you all, so either wait for that link down there or just subscribe. That way you can have access to all of my videos as soon as they upload, because you can do the bell. You can do the bell and that'll update you immediately when I upload my videos. So with that said, I'm going to be talking about both creams and powders. I limited myself to 5 creams and 5 powders. All of these should have been showcased at one point on my channel, and what I will do is also have some b-roll showing you guys the products on my skin, and I will also have some comparisons, and hopefully if I can really finesse it correctly, I can have a swatch of all of the products on my skin at one time so that you can see which maybe cream or powder works best for you. I'm not doing this video to say you need to pick up all of these. Honestly, I know I have too much makeup. I get that. I do. But I do that, and I also post just because I enjoy it. But definitely take this opportunity, if you are a shade twin to me, to just see which one, maybe 2 products you feel you need to or really want to bring into your collection, and then just wait. Okay, this is like the ultimate year of sales. I'm sure every last product that I'm going to be talking about is going to be on a wicked sale, either during the holidays or during a random holiday that, you know, these brands just really want to get some stock off of their shelves. So just stay tuned. But with that said, let's get into it. Okay, so we're gonna start off with creams, and some of these I've had comments about the actual products, so I'm gonna try to kind of answer those comments because I've been really slacking on answering my comments lately. I do apologize. I'm gonna try and get back to it, but life. Okay, let's go ahead and start off with the first formulation, and I actually have 2 shades of this formulation, and this is actually from the brand LYS Beauty. Now, I am currently a beauty ambassador to this brand, although I picked up both of these shades with my own money. Now, one of the shades, I didn't even say what the name of the product. The name of this product is the Cream Bronzer. I don't actually know. It's not on the packaging. But basically, I have the shades Courage and Strength. And originally I got the shade Courage thinking that it was going to work for me. This is pretty much my skin tone, so maybe in the winter I can finesse using this, although I would suggest somebody who is at least a couple shades lighter than me picking this one up. If you are my shade twin or even slightly deeper, I would suggest the shade Strength. This is a really perfect shade. There is that warmth to it, but it's not too much. And what I appreciate about this shade in particular, specifically Strength, is that I feel like even though it is quite dark, I feel like it has a little bit of like a yellow or even kind of a olivey undertone to it, but the formula is fantastic. I know some people don't like this formula because they say it blends out too easily, but that's what I love about this formula. I think this is one of the easiest cream bronzer formulas. So in the event that you have ever felt like cream bronzer did not blend, I'm telling you, get this product. It will blend extremely quickly, extremely nice, and on top of that, the product actually blends into a skin-like finish. So if you like a more skin-like finish, even if you like a matte finish or even a shimmery finish, it really doesn't matter what type of finish you like, it's going to blend into that foundation, the concealer, everything. And then once you put your powder on top, if you choose to put a powder on top, it will work. Now for me, I have only tested this product putting a powder on top and actually applying it over powder. I don't not powder my face. I am combination oily in the T-zone, normal outside of it. So for me, this has always been powdered down, and I genuinely can't give you guys any advice on whether this lasts on your skin outside of that. But with my experience in my application, this is an outstanding cream bronzer, and it does dry down to a powder-ish finish. So I can see it working, but since I haven't actually tested it that way, I don't want to say it's going to work and then you get it and it don't work. So if I would recommend this, it's nice and it's super affordable. It's like $16 or something. So that's a win in my book. Okay, going into the only other kind of stick formulation that I have for my cream bronzers is, of course, I mean, honestly, I couldn't have done a video without talking about this. This is the Rare Beauty Cream Bronzer Stick. I have it in the shade True Warmth. Now, this is going to be the warmest shade that I talk about pretty much in this whole video, because I've really gotten away from these straight up warm orangey tones, although that used to be what I loved. It's very similar to what I have today, which is actually one of my Project Pan bronzers, and this is from ColourPop in the shade Bits and Pieces. Very, very strong red warm undertone. Anyways, back to this one. This is the Rare Beauty, very similar formula actually to the LYS, although the LYS is a lot more creamy, whereas this feels a lot thinner, and it's just not as creamy. It's pretty much, it feels immediately like a powder as soon as you put it on your skin, whereas this one you have to really blend it out and let it dry a little bit for it to really turn into that powdery matte kind of finish. Although neither of these are true mattes, this one I think is a little bit more matte than this one, but they both give you some form of radiance and luminosity to the skin, where it gives a little bit more of a satiny finish. Like I said, this one is extremely warm, but once again, I love the blend out. And even though it appears really warm here, once you blend it into your foundation, your skin tone, I think it works beautifully. So it even kind of gives off a similar effect to this one, although I will say clearly it's warmer, so you are going to see a little bit of warmer bronze in my application. Now what I will do is actually just use this by itself, and I won't actually use a powder bronzer on top just because of how warm it is. Whereas with something like this that's a little bit more, I would say, closer to my undertone, and it kind of just blends in even better, I could feel very, very comfortable putting on a powder bronzer on top of that one. So those are the two cream bronzer sticks that I want to talk about. Everything else is in some form of compact packaging. So the next kind of oldest one I would say out of this collection is actually from Danessa Myricks. This is actually her Balm Contour. I have it in the shade Deep 1, but on me it definitely does pull warm. Now I find that there are certain brands that'll say that something is neutral undertone, but it does not pull neutral on me. It actually pulls quite warm. This is why I classify myself as kind of an olivey neutral undertone. I may be wrong, but that's how your girl thinks about it. Anyways, this is a really, once again, easily blendable formula. Yes, it's in a compact, so it can be a little bit annoying, but I tend to apply my base products now specifically and kind of exclusively with a sponge. So I can easily just take a side of my sponge, dip it in here, and apply my cream bronzer the way I like in the method that I like, and then we're good to go. Once again, this blends very nicely. If we're talking about kind of feel of this product, I would say this is a very kind of more reminiscent of the LYS formulation, and I put it right here. It's also very similar to the color. So if you like something that is a little bit more neutral, on the back of my hand it looks a little bit closer to my skin tone and a little bit more of that yellow undertone. Once again, this is just a tone that I'm enjoying when it comes to my bronzers. Whereas before I was really into the reds, now I'm really into these neutral olivey tones just because I feel it fits with my undertone better. And the more I learn about makeup, more I learn about me and just like my preferences, the more I'm kind of slightly changing. So that's it right there. Sorry, I'll have better swatches on the screen, of course, but I figured since I have the product out, I might as well tell you guys the finish. And once again, this does dry down. Between the three formulas that I've talked about, this one I think you need to powder down more than the other two, whereas the Rare Beauty, you don't really have to powder down at all, and the LYS, you can if you want to. I would suggest it because that's how I tested it out, but who am I? 2 more formulas because I don't know how to count and I accidentally pulled out 6 cream bronzers. Do I want to choose these? No. Okay, these 2. All right, so next we're gonna save the best for last. Next, we're gonna talk about the Patrick Ta She's Chiseled Cream Bronzer and Powder Bronzer Duo. Now, this is actually a formula I really got a lot of use out of. Once again, it gives off this like yellower tone that I just really like. This, once again, is not as thick as the LYS or even the Danessa Myricks. It gives off a little bit more of an immediate powder effect, although I do find that you have to blend it out. I do really like this formula and I think that this just works for my skin tone. Now, as for the powder aspect, I really could get rid of that if we're being honest, but it's there, it's cute. I've done swatches and I believe I actually did a bronzer hunt. If I've done a bronzer hunt on any of these bronzers, I will put it down below. I don't really like the powder bronzer. I'm not even gonna play you, but it's the cream in here that I really enjoy. I like the formula. I really love the undertone, and for me, it's been all about the undertone lately, and this one just fits the bill perfectly. And then the last one and the most recent love and affair that I have is of course the ABH cream bronzer, and this is in the shade Hazelnut. I have a dip in this bronzer. I really enjoy it, and I've actually had to tell myself to stop using it because I have a whole cream bronzer that's in a project pan, and sometimes I get carried away and I actually use this one more. So when it comes to this formula, I think this is like just the perfect depth compared to my skin tone. It's not exactly my skin tone, but it's not super deep like the LYS strength. I also just think that the undertone is nice. It's not as yellowy as some of these, which I really do like, but it just gives me enough yellow, enough depth that it just works beautifully. This is actually the cream bronzer that I have on today. I did top it off with, like I said, the ColourPop, just because I'm me, honestly, but really like this. I would say this is another formula that really dries down quite easily, so if you didn't particularly like to powder your face, I think you could get away with it. Once again, I always test out my cream bronzers either on top of powder or putting powder on top, so that's not something I can really say yay or nay on, but just by the feel of it and how it dries down overall, I think this is something that you can get away with not necessarily powdering. So overall, as you can see, what are the 2 things? All about how easily blendable it is, and every last formula that I've just highlighted is extremely easy to blend. Secondly, of course, the undertone. And I have tried all of these formulas with a sponge and a brush, and I find that they all blend both nicely, although I just genuinely prefer using a sponge right now. So those are the main methods that I've used those cream bronzers. So now let's switch over to powder bronzers now. Okay, now I haven't been picking up nearly as many powder bronzers as I used to, but once again, I just wanted to reference this ColourPop one. This used to be my #1 favorite bronzer. I loved how red it is, and as you can see, it is extremely red on my skin tone. So I just wanted to reference that for you guys, and of course it is the bronzer that I have on today, although I use a lot lighter of a hand with the application than what I used to when I went through my first one, because I've gone through a whole compact of that prior. Okay, so hopefully I actually counted correctly. I did count correctly this time. And let's start off with one that you guys actually asked me to compare to a bronzer that I more so recently actually picked up. So this is actually one of my favorite drugstore bronzers, and this is from Morphe. This is in their Glamabronze range, and it's in the shade Leader. I don't know if this particular shade and honestly line is available. Morphe tends to change their lines like every summer, but I really like this formula. It is warmer than my skin tone and it is darker than my skin tone, but it's not like overly, it's not nearly as dramatic as this ColourPop is, but it just gives me enough. Now, somebody asked me to compare this to the Jaclyn Hill formula, and what I will say is I just prefer the tone of the Morphe one, and I also prefer the finish. I find that there is just a slight slight kind of satiny effect with that Morphe one. So this is the Morphe one. This is the Jaclyn Hill one, and this is the Morphe. So you can see there's definitely a difference there. The Jaclyn just looks straight up neutral. There's no yellow to it. There's no warmth to it. It might just be a problem with the shade that I picked up. But honestly, with how matte I find this on my skin, it's not something that I want to go ahead and pick up another color of. Hopefully that makes sense. So I hope that I kind of answered that question. This one's a little bit more skin-like than this one, and this one is definitely warmer than this one. Okay, the rest are all old. I really have not been picking up a lot of powder bronzers lately. Of course, the Kosas. I know a lot of people hate the smell, but for me, the smell has worn away. I don't even smell it anymore. Now this is, once again, a very warm bronzer. I got this when I was still in the phase of warm bronzers, but it's not as warm as the ColourPop once again. And also it just does a very nice sheen to it. I love the amount of sheen that I get when I apply this to my skin. Like I am sun-kissed, sun-bronzed in this place, so I really like this. Am I necessarily reaching for this every day right now? No, but that really is because I have quite a few project pans going on, and I have quite a few bronzers in those project pans, so I can't really reach for this every day, but I really do enjoy it. And like I said, this is going to be the most satin finish in this whole group of powders. So if you are more of a satin finish, here you go. But you do need to be aware of the undertones. I know some people who are of lighter complexions don't like how red this pulls, and also a lot of people really don't like the smell. Like I said, I don't smell it anymore. I have had it for a couple of years, and at the beginning I was using this a lot, so it was being aerated very often, so that might be why I don't smell it anymore. Okay, so an easy kind of no fuss, no muss, and also a very natural finish. So it's not going to be as satin as that Kosas, but it's not going to be as matte as the Morphe. And this is going to be the Wayne Goss bronzer duo. So I got this in deep copper, and this powder formula, I know it doesn't look like much, right? I know it looks like it's not going to show up, and honestly it looks lighter on my skin when I put it here, but when I put it on the face, I just get that slight effortless bronze. It really is something that is like a no fuss, no muss, and I really enjoy it on those days where I really just don't want it to be dramatic beat or even just like this amount of beat. I will reach for this because it really does give you a skin-like finish, but it's more natural, effortless, you know. Oh, that actually could kind of be your skin if you don't have like a lot of powder and it's a little bit more like matte, you know what I mean? So yeah, I really do like this. It is expensive. Once again, I always recommend waiting for a sale, okay? Beautylish does a very good sale twice a year, okay? I usually get my Beautylish stuff during that, and then I can justify getting as much as I do when I get that gift card, because you know it's all about the rewards. And now Beautylish has rewards. So child, sales. Okay, two more powder bronzers to talk about. First is going to be the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush bronzer. Now I do actually have the cream equivalent of this, and I did not reference it obviously just because I don't think that cream bronzer touches all of the other ones that I have mentioned. It is a good bronzer, but not as good. Anyways, this is a beautiful bronzer though. I love the depth that this provides, and also I love the amount of warmth that this provides. It is right here. It really is kind of the best of both worlds for me, and I think the formula is really nicely smooth. This is going to be something where you're not getting a full-on matte once again, but you're definitely not getting that full-on satin like the Kosas. If you want something where you get kind of an effortless finish, but you get a little bit more color, you get a little bit more oomph, this is what you want to go for compared to the Wayne Goss. Whereas the Wayne Goss, it's really gonna blend it, okay? So this is gonna look like she didn't really do anything until you see the before and after. Whereas this one, you're gonna know you put something on, but it's still gonna be this effortless blend, this effortless application that you're really going to enjoy. And then the last bronzer that I want to talk about in this video is one that honestly was surprising. I didn't expect to enjoy this because I didn't really like anything else in the range, well, except a couple of things I enjoyed. And this is the Haus Labs bronzer in deep level 11. This child, if you are somebody who loves a baked gelée formula, this is the formula for you. So I gotta find a spot on here. It is right here. I'm sure you can't even see anything. I'm sure the swatches that I have B-roll are gonna be better than this, but this formula is a baked gelée formula. So this is going to be skin-like, right? But it picks up in a different manner. So you're definitely going to need a different type of brush. I recommend a natural hair brush or a synthetic that applies like a natural hair. So that's really going to be the best way to really pick up this product if you use a natural hair brush or synthetic that has an application method like a natural hair. That said, if I'm putting this on the spectrum of this kind of very satin to very matte range of these powder bronzers that I've put, I would say that this is the closest to the Kosas that you will get without having this like sheen. This is definitely going to give you a sheen, whereas this one's going to give you a matte look, but you actually have more of a sheen natural finish. So it is going to be more than the Charlotte Tilbury and the Wing Goss as well, just so that you guys can get kind of the range of like sheeny to matty situation. So that's pretty much it. That is the roundup of 10 current favorite bronzers in my collection. I had intended to do a bronzer week this week, but time just got away from me. But I hope that kind of rounding up all of these bronzers into this one video is helpful for you all. If there is one bronzer that you would like to see, like a legit bronzer week so you can see the application on my skin tone, just let me know. That shouldn't be too much of a problem, and maybe I'll still be able to do it later. But I just wanted to get this video out right before the holidays, right before a lot of the major sales, in the event that there's one bronzer here that you really want to pick up. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you guys in my next one, which should be Friday, where I'm talking to you about all of the 3 looks and all of that jazz when it comes to the Glamabronze palette. Alrighty guys, bye.